Here's a look at today's headlines across Houston. Hello, I'm Len Cannon. A warning for pet owners after a close call in downtown Houston last week. New body camera video shows a dog left inside a car where temperatures climbed past 100 degrees. Oklahoma has more and the message from law enforcement and animal advocates.
Body camera footage shows a dog panting and gasping for air inside a red car. Harris County Precinct 1 deputies responding to LaBranch Street in downtown Houston late last week after a bystander noticed the husky in distress.
Hey, we got a call over here about an animal that was left inside of a car.
The temperature was about 113 degrees. We actually had a heat gun in it.
Precinct 1 Constable Alan Rosen tells me the dog was left in the hot car for 2 hours while his owner was in court.
And the dog was slobbering everywhere and really in a desperate situation. You left your dog in a vehicle that could have killed the dog. And I think had the quick acting citizen not reacted, the dog probably would have died.
Deputies were able to get the husky out using a window that was cracked open. They immediately gave the dog water and brought him to the Houston SPCA.
What is on it?
We met the husky, who's doing better, but still recovering from heat exhaustion.
How quickly can that impact them?
Oh, within minutes. It can be minutes where it can turn fatal for an animal.
The SPCA says pets should never be left inside a car, especially during the summer.
Almost every single year, we've had a couple of these cases where we've discovered deceased animals where we've confirmed they have died from heat distress. And it could have been preventable. And that's what the most frustrating thing is.
Officials say there are simple things you can do to remind yourself that your pet is in your car, including putting a note on your mirror, having an alarm on your phone, and even keeping your phone in the back seat.
And for those who leave their pets in hot cars, the consequences can be severe.
This is a perfect time to remind people that summer is upon us and you have to think and you have to be responsible.
What are charges that someone can face for doing that?
It really depends on the injuries of the dog. It could be a misdemeanor all the way up to a felony.
In Houston, Orko Manna, KHOU 11 News.
More reaction tonight to the demolition of the old Northwest Mall, once floated as a possible site for a Houston to Dallas bullet train terminal. Some say any talk of the high-speed rail moving forward is more hype than reality. Here's Jason Miles.
After nearly 60 years of existence and long after the last businesses left, the old Northwest Mall's days are finally numbered.
And I know it's old and decayed and all of that, but it was the place to be.
Stephen Fry grew up in nearby Timber Grove and recently shared some of his memories on social media, including shopping at what was a Foley's department store on this end of the mall.
My grandmother worked at Wicks and Sticks. My cousins worked at Chick-fil-A. I lived at the gold mine, which was the arcade.
Like others, Fry is sentimental about the mall's slow death, but somewhat optimistic that a high-speed rail project with a proposed terminal right here may be back on track. In a statement, Texas High-Speed Rail Holdings said in part, quote, removal of the Legacy Mall and adjacent structures on the 45-acre parcel is another step forward. Once approved, the project will create jobs and help drive important economic growth for Texas.
Demolition here is expected to take about a year, but critics believe this bullet train will never leave the station.
This high-speed rail project from day one never really made any sense.
Waller County Judge Trey Duhon is also president of Texans Against High-Speed Rail. He's not opposed to a bullet train to Dallas in theory, but has worked to protect property owners in this project's proposed path.
But every time you have somebody putting this kind of garbage out there, that affects their property values. That affects what they can do with their property.
Duhon says the tens of billions needed to pull the project off have failed to materialize through private or public partnerships, not to mention Amtrak pulling its support just last year.
It's time for this to be done.
So the future of a site generations of families enjoyed as a mall,
My hope all along was that they would turn it into the Gen X retirement home.
may still have other possibilities. In Northwest Houston, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
As America marks 250 years, we're highlighting a Houston area painter who made it his mission to make sure America's heroes are never forgotten. Marcelino Benito has the story of service and sacrifice.
Every brushstroke helps Ken Pridgeon stay young.
It keeps me alive.
He spends hours
From about 6:30 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night.
in front of a canvas, bringing the dead to life.
In my mind, every one of them is a hero.
A mission he started back in 2010 at 75 years old to honor the fallen.
Life begins at 75, folks. Don't give up.
How old are you now?
I'll be 91 if everything works out okay next month.
For the past 16 years, Ken hasn't stopped. Long after the battlefields grew quiet, his brush keeps their stories alive.
I feel like I know a lot of them.
He's still working to paint a portrait of every Texas soldier killed in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's the families who push him forward.
When they started hugging my neck and crying real tears on my shoulder, there was no decision to it. I had no choice.
When we visited Ken,
He wanted to be a police officer.
it was Sergeant Daniel Torres on the canvas, killed in 2005, his 386th portrait. When it's finished, he'll be the latest hero, hanging on the walls inside the Fallen Warrior Memorial Gallery.
This is all about remembrance. This ain't no cemetery here.
It's a living tribute to America's patriots,
There is no place like this in the whole world.
full of stories and lives cut short. And as America turns 250,
Do you plan to keep painting?
Until you take the paintbrush out of my dead hands, yes.
Ken reminds us freedom has always come at a price. Marcelino Benito, KHOU 11 News.
What a gift to the family of the fallen. That's a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Len Cannon.